Constructivism as a cognitive theory can be traced back to the work of Jean Piaget and John Dewey. The heart of the constructivist approach to education is that learners control their learning. Students construct new understandings through active engagement with their past and present experience. Constructivism promotes using curricula customized to the student's prior knowledge. Also, it emphasizes hands-on problem solving. Many current researchers believe that constructivism is the philosophy that works best for today's students. Constructivism treats students as intellectually generative individuals as opposed to empty vessels waiting to be filled. Communication between teachers and learners directs the instruction and helps move students toward the construction of knowledge. Modeling, dialogue, and cooperative learning are all strategies that promote this discourse. The constructivist model aims at developing higher-order thinking skills and metacognitive skills, both of which employers are seeking feverishly in employees these days. Several research studies have shown that the constructivist approach does garner higher scores on metacognitive tasks, and constructivist children tend to outperform their counterparts on higher-order thinking skills. Chang, Ramazowski, and Grabowski, in a paper presented in April of 1994, performed a quasi-experiment with 363 students, focusing on how a constructivist approach would affect prediction and explanation skills when compared to a traditional teaching approach in a junior high science classroom setting. The ANOVA scores showed an increase in multiple choice or lower level questions by those students presented information in a traditional approach than those in the constructivist group. However, questions requiring high-level answers, such as constructed responses, students in the constructivist group scored statistically higher. Duckworth in 1978 stated that children who are immersed in the constructivist culture tend not only to have a greater capacity for generating their own knowledge through problem solving, but also for identifying problems, and perhaps most importantly, for persisting in problem solving efforts. In addition, research conducted by Yeager in 1995 studying the effects of a constructivist approach on student confidence showed a statistically significant advantage in student confidence among female and average and below average students within a middle school setting involving all students in grades 6 through 8. Schools such as Dalton School in New York, the Greater Brunswick Charter School in New Jersey, and the Dodson Elementary School in Nashville are prime examples that constructivism can work.
What's all this stuff? Seaweed?
Yeah.
I don't know. Looks like it's coming out of the mom.
Maybe it's a little bit blood.
Oh.
Because sometimes when mommies have babies, there's a little bit blood on them.
It is the kids, obviously, that should be constructing their own knowledge. I am here to guide them. I am here to help them. I am here to facilitate that.
It may be how it breathes in green bubbles. The back of it. Look, the tail looks just like the shark. Look, the back of the tail has a fin on it. I know, so it's a shark. If it didn't have a fin on the back of it on there, it wouldn't be a shark.
Our opponents would seek to persuade others that constructivism is a willy-nilly, learn whatever you want to, anytime you want to theory. In addition, one of their arguments is that students, especially in elementary school, are not developmentally ready to learn independently. However, just the opposite is true. Constructivist students are not left to learn on their own without guidance and direction. The constructivist approach incorporates several teaching methods which are its organizational backbone. There is modeling, coaching, scaffolding and fading, articulation, reflection, and exploration. All of these methods seek to provide proper sequencing and support so meaningful learning can take place. Our opponents would have you believe that constructivist theory is flawed. However, we contend that it is not the theory, but the lack of readiness to support it. As David Elkind and others point out, the move toward a more constructivist educational system can be attained if changes occur in three general areas: teacher, curricular, and societal readiness. Teachers must be trained as child development specialists. For this to occur, academic researchers must conduct research that supports practical constructivist applications and make greater strides to share this research with educators in the field. Curricular understanding by the educator is crucial to successful implementation as well. Children's ability levels must match the task we are requiring them to carry out. Their developmental levels must also match the curriculum strand and content we are teaching, and the order in which we teach it. And finally, society must be ready for this change in how we educate our youth. Constructivism involves a total revamping of our industrial age education system. Constructivism has not reformed current education not for its own failures, but the failures of the prerequisites that must be in place as mentioned above. But what do we have to lose?
I also strongly believe that we want to make sure the No Child Left Behind Act continues to work. You measure every day. That's why you're successful business people. I mean, you know what your business is doing. I believe we ought to extend that same principle to our public schools and ask a simple question. Can a child read at grade level? And in order to determine that, that's why you measure. And if the answer is yes, we all say, great. If the answer is no, the question of it, then what are you going to do about it? And so the principle behind the No Child Left Behind Act is to set high standards, believe every child can learn, and measure to see if we're getting results. And Congress need not weaken such a good piece of legislation.
Our opponents will seek to persuade others that direct instruction is better suited to educating our students. Let's ponder a moment the failures of the No Child Left Behind Act, which encourages such an approach. NCLB forces teachers to fill students with the knowledge that they will need to do well on the standardized tests. What message does this send to students about learning and education? It sends a negative message. It tells them that their interests and their experiences are of little importance to their education. Winchell in 2000 stated that developing autonomous learners who believe in their own powers as creators of knowledge is a start for creating a society in which authority is never blindly followed. Individuals' worldviews are not controlled by miseducative influences of peers and popular culture. This is extremely important, especially today in the 21st century, where the amount of new information doubles every 2 years. There is no possible way we can continue to add on to the ever-growing curriculum standards. We need to be guiding our students to be self-directed, high-order thinkers through the constructivist approach. Overwhelm your lawmakers with the proof that No Child Left Behind is creating a toxic learning atmosphere for our educators and our students. We need to educate them and our fellow colleagues in the only method that can turn our system around, constructivism.